Well, the last thing on the dock is Diablo. So, a couple things. Well, I guess the first thing immediately we're getting from this doc is, so May 12th to May 14th, they're calling it a server slam. I'm just going to call it another open beta. So we get a second open beta period where the game will be accessible. You can go level cap to level 20. The world boss, which is Ashava, will be available. However, they did stipulate one thing I want to quickly mention before I go any further. Apparently, the previous open beta, the loot was like intensified. You got more really good loot.
The drop rate was increased heavily.
This one, they said, it's going to be more like the release. Your drops are going to be more akin to the release drops. So I don't think we should expect big legendary drops. The whole, maybe for like beating Ashava. But
yeah, not all the time. You'll probably get a couple, but
maybe
like,
maybe a couple.
You're not going to be decked out in full legendaries when you get to level, like when you just level to 20, which was like in the previous betas, when you got to 25, you were probably pretty close to decked out in full legendaries.
You were full legendary. Basically. So that the drops are going to be obviously, we'll call it just lower quality for now. Talked about level cap 20. The game went gold. So this open beta period, I imagine, is going to be what we're going to get on release. I think they're just going to use either a similar build or, if not, the release build. Because they talked about, for the last, like, during this live stream, they talked for about 30 to 40 minutes on beta feedback and them implementing the beta feedback. By the way, apparently in a month, in 30 days, they implemented the beta feedback so they could go gold. Which, now some part of me believes a little bit what some people were saying when we talked about this before. I think they knew some of these problems ahead of time and fixed them anyway, and just said, oh, it was because of beta feedback. The dungeon, they talked about, like, in detail class balance, but they also talked about dungeon balance on the live stream during the beta feedback. Those are like two things I caught. Yep. They showed their little pictures of the dungeon changes and the pathing changes, which is good. All that looked great. And then they talked about in more detail again the changes they made to classes, and they gave some, like, here's how it felt in that first open beta period, and then they had like some Q&A with someone who had played a newer build. It was like, oh, now, like, those classes I didn't like during the open beta feel much better now that those changes have been made. So the other piece of the puzzle during the live stream was Paragon system. That was a really big piece of the puzzle that they itemization. Yeah, itemization I'm going to talk about, but I feel like with itemization they didn't need to really touch on that more than the Paragon system needed to be discussed, because
people were pissed after.
People were very unhappy.
The endgame video, they're like, +5 main stat, +5 main stat, +5 main stat.
They had like one thing to accomplish, and that's to talk about why the Paragon system isn't just +5 stat. So they were able to discuss that in detail. They talked about, this is mostly about the server slam rewards.
This is about this. Yeah,
but I want to go
slots.
This is the live stream, so here's them showing more on the Paragon system. So unfortunately, these are screenshots. So my understanding of the Paragon system is that not every Paragon system is going to be created equal. Is like, players might have some uniqueness here, is my understanding of how it works.
Because, like, okay, you're saying, this is only a portion.
This is only a portion of it.
Of the board. But, like, the board has 4 entrances.
Right.
And you can enter from any of the 4 entrances, and you take your path towards the... Like, there's these rare clusters that have, like, a rare node in the middle and then a bunch of magic nodes around them.
Right.
There's the glyph socket at one point, which, from what they're discussing, sounds quite powerful, and you're going to get a lot of stat bonuses from the glyph socket. and it's also going to depend which glyph you put in it, and you're going to have multiple
Right.
glyphs to choose from, and then you have to level up the glyphs by completing the nightmare dungeons. And then you also have the legendary node, and there's one of those per board.
Yeah.
But they also said a thing where like the stat requirements you're gonna need to get the bonuses on the rare nodes and the glyphs are gonna be higher the more boards that you attach. So what people were thinking before with this, at least the sense that I got, is that like you would basically just attach a bunch of boards and just like beeline for either glyph socket or legendary node and then go to the next one and then do that again, and you would just kind of ignore a lot of the other stuff. But
Right.
it seems like the rare and the magic nodes are actually going to be quite powerful and worth getting.
Right.
So you're probably going to have like one main board that you want to basically fill out the vast majority of it, and then maybe like one or two other boards that you like attach and you want to dabble into.
Right.
But any more than that, and I don't think it's gonna be worth it. Again,
It's not gonna work.
we'll have to play we'll have to play around with it and see what the numbers look like when it comes out, you know.
So I do think that they discussed this, and I do think it's right. They're like, okay, this Paragon board isn't just something you click into and just start going. You may want to just stay on this board, analyze it for some time, and figure out not just the main board, but like figure out your next board path way before you even consider going to it, and just figure out what you want to do. This board is like you have to plan out pretty heavily,
Yeah,
to get your build just right and get what you're trying to do done. You almost want to do it ahead of time. I hate to say it, but this is where the spreadsheet kind of thing comes in.
yeah, or build like people have been making like apps online that are like build calculators, and like
Yeah,
there's one online for this that has the Paragon boards. Like it's from the data mine information from the beta, so the numbers are going to be completely different, or some of
numbers
the
are gonna be
things are going to be
different.
complete. Because like people are taking a lot from the like the data mine stuff, because people data mine, they data mine like the unique items, they data mine the Paragon boards, and I'm like, but that beta was a low level beta. Do you think like those unique items and Paragon boards, like yes they're there, but like those are gonna change drastically, because
Those could
they
change. Yeah,
in that beta build they're not touching that stuff at all. It's just there from past like whenever the original like start of that build was from,
right,
which like who knows how long ago they like actually took that build and like curated the beta build from, and
right.
the other stuff is not touched at all in that build. So I'm just like, yeah, you can say you think it looks like crap from the data mines and obviously that endgame video, but to me I'm like, you're taking way too much from a data mine of a beta build that didn't touch the endgame stuff at all.
Isn't that?
Like,
But like that's what people want to do, though. Well, they want to take whatever information they have at that moment and start analyzing it to like to get to their what they perceive as their ideal endpoint for this game. Like they're like, okay, if I want to be a barbarian, like I'm gonna data mine this and figure out like all the stuff that I can, all the information that I can with what we currently have to figure out like what my barbarian will look like. Like that's
yeah.
kind of what they're trying to do. Like I'm thinking that they'll have some early impressions. Like people are gonna have impressions based off of data mine anyway, because that's the information that they have. But that I like, to your point, this game is not gonna look like the data mine on release. It might have some, the numbers are going to be changed, but like maybe some parts of that from the data mine are still going to hold true.
Yeah. No,
So
they're
that's
gonna
what they're
be
trying to do.
similar, but like I think I heard people saying that like the magic nodes and the rare nodes that they showed in this presentation looked significantly more powerful than like what was data mine, like what we have on the data
Right.
mine
So
right now. Or
that's
like
yeah.
the numbers have been changed pretty drastically,
Right.
where like those nodes are quite a bit more powerful than they were before.
Right.
So
And people will account for that. They'll be like, oh, okay, what we had previous data seems like they're shifting to more of a focus of like these nodes are going to get a power boost, so now I'm going to change up how I handle, how I understand like where my character's going to be. But yeah, people are gonna, they're just trying to get their information. You're just trying to get info. You're just trying to figure out, like, they're just trying to get, they want as much information as possible, because when this gets into release, which for the people that pre-ordered the super mega awesome, you know, Kiss Blizzard's Butt edition, they're gonna play June 1st.
Yep.
And so they want to be like, okay, I'm gonna be playing this all the time. So by the time this game actually releases, I want to start getting into my build. So I want to be prepped so I don't have to spend any time out of the game trying to figure out my build. I want to have that all figured out beforehand, so I just play. So, like, I don't know. To me, like, the people that are data mining and stuff, obviously they're going to have their early impression of the game and be like, oh, well, these nodes don't matter. But at the same time, all they're trying to do is make sure that when they start June 1st, and when it rolls around to June 6th, when the game actually releases, or whatever, June 5th for time zone, they want to be like, hey, it's June 5th. I'm already, like, my board's already started. And I'm just focusing on playing and placing nodes that I already had on my second monitor set up.
Yep.
So I get it. But yeah, I mean, I think when they make those early impressions, you have to be careful to know that that beta was a build from like January or December.
Probably, yeah.
That's lots of numbers can change.
Well, especially if they're crunching down the last 6 months, like, numbers are going to be one of the last things that they don't, in the early builds, like, they don't care about balance. They want to make sure the game works, and that you can play the game and that it works, and that you can play all of the content and the bosses and get through the story, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't care about numbers. At the end, they're like, okay, now we're gonna actually balance. Now we're actually gonna balance things.
Yeah.
Like,
which, I mean, based off the build we got in the open beta, they kind of started figuring out balance, but they just didn't get there. They just didn't get there. So, I mean, I don't know. The Paragon system, to me, though, based on what they showed here, was much better than what we've seen previously in any form. At least them discussing it and saying, like, okay, like, here's the board. We recommend, you know, kind of when you first see this, plan out what you're doing based on what how you're trying to play. Understand that you may not be able to path to every board. Maybe you want to do this and this. I'm at least glad they talked about it, as opposed to leaving us with that, 5-minute video before that was like +5. +5. This was them just talking about class balance again. They just put it all up on one slide. I appreciate all the text. Thanks, guys. Here's an example. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, he did clarify that, like, there are more changes to class balance and throughout than this. Like, there are number tweaks all over the board. As we mentioned last week when we talked, I think when we talked about the last beta feedback thing, I was surprised that they didn't mention Hydra.
But they mentioned it here.
The sorcerer, but in the video he mentioned Hydra. He didn't say exactly what they did with it, but to me it was just like a number tweak. They probably just toned down the damage. They probably just toned down the damage, which is, in my opinion, all they needed to do with that skill. They just need to make it do less damage because it did way too much damage.
Yeah, I mean, they said that, like, we did a lot of tweaks. We didn't put all of them here.
So yeah, there's number changes all over the board. That legendary powers thing under general, the last bullet point under general, like, that is such a vague thing. They could have touched literally every legendary power in the entire game and changed it somewhat. So we'll just have to see. And they did say with the server slam that all of these changes that they've talked about are going to be in.
Yeah, they're going to be
in that build. So we'll get to see for ourselves how it went with the balance and the dungeons, especially, are like the two main things for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we're gonna see the difference. I think what they've done in this server slam is gonna be what we're likely getting in release.
Yeah, they'll probably make a few other, like, minor tweaks between then and release, because, you know, day one patches exist.
Yeah,
but, like,
of course.
But yeah, I don't think there will be any more major changes between the server slam and full release.
Yeah. I want to talk about the this part of the video really quickly. Here's one of the dungeons in the game. I actually went through this dungeon.
Oh yeah, I did too.
Notice where the objectives are? Might be a little bit hard. They're the diamonds. Yeah, I mean, they have the sad faces. This was one of the dungeons of several that got feedback. You can see that this is their expected player path, which is you go around the frickin' diamond, like the baseball diamond here. But, like, going down a path means you just go right back down this up. You have to go right back up the path. It's unnecessary movement. And it's backtracking. So they talked about that. They said, okay, here's our changed map. So, expected path. Objective on expected path. Objective on expected path. Objective on expected path. With offshoots being if you want to explore. Which, I mean, you're in a dungeon. You probably want to explore anyway. But
yeah,
they changed it.
And they're dead ends. But, like, that... And I don't mind that there's, like, dead end. Like, I don't know. That makes the dungeon to me feel a little more organic, I guess. Where, like, yeah, there's going to be occasionally where you just hit a dead end. And it's like, oh, well, whoops, I went the wrong way. Time to go back. Right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Like,
but having the objective be, like, really far down the path there didn't feel particularly good. So this was just one of the changes. I want to try finding one more. Here's one. Here's another dungeon. Expected path. Objective, but that makes sense, right? Kind of, even though, like, yeah, you gotta do this. Expected path. Like, objectives way off to the side, way off to the side, way off to the side. I feel like I recall this dungeon. Here's the updated version. Expected path. More fluidly hits, particularly in this part. Objectives as you get around. I don't think this one highlights it as well compared to the other map, but, like, this is just them discussing what changes they've made to the dungeons, which should have been made. They talked about as well having, like, enemies at a certain point, if you're trying to do a kill all enemies objective, start to roam towards you. They talked about those changes. They talked about the reset button, how they removed it, but there is still a way to reset, but it involves, like, doing it with a friend. Something like a little bit extra that people will still do, but it involves, like, extra steps. And that's what they talked about for dungeons. I probably missed some details in there, but the last thing that they talked about was a Shava that I wanted to mention that I caught my attention. There were people that apparently could beat a Shava, the world boss, go back to town, and get to it in time to fight it again and beat it.
Oh, there were people, I saw a few videos on YouTube of people beating it like 6, 7, 8 times in one spawn.
So they said, they gave some clarification on some things. One, beating a Shava the first time is going to elicit more rewards than subsequent times. So the incentive to beat it the first time obviously is much greater, but you could still go ahead and fight it more times. It's just don't expect the same quality of reward that you would get beating it that first time. Did they say each week or something? It was like each week?
Yeah, he did say, like, I think he said in a week.
In a week.
Again, we don't know if that was, like, an example or if that's actually how it's going to work. Where, like, you can basically kill each world boss for maximum reward once a week.
A week.
You know.
Okay.
That's a little, like, FOMO, MMO crap going on, but I think it's fine.
I think it's
like,
okay. I thought it would be, like, maybe once a day. But, yeah. I was a little bit surprised that I heard week. So, interesting.
I don't think I want to have to kill every world boss once every day.
That's true. Annoying. That's true. I was just thinking, okay, you know, maybe they would do it like every day, I guess, like a daily. But it's having it be a weekly, like, that's fine. That's fine too. I think for me that was pretty much the stuff that I took away from this. Obviously we talked about the server slam that they talked about at the end, the server slam being a part of this. Overall, glad that glad that they did this live stream. Glad that they clarified those a lot of those details that people gave feedback on and wanted some additional different perspective on Paragon system. And it's cool that we're getting another open beta. And if you do the objectives in the open beta, meaning you hit level 20 and you beat a Shava, you get a reward for it. You get a little
beat a Shava at level 20. They were specific about that.
At level
so
20.
They don't want you going to a Shava at less than
20.
level 20, which people in the previous beta sure did. And
yeah, they did. And they got their ass handed to them. They were probably a waste in that fight. But yeah, level 20, go to a Shava, beat a Shava, get your horse cosmetic.
I guess there's a meme or a thing going around. People don't like the cosmetic. They said it's a dick on a horse's ass that you can blow.
Okay. Okay. Sure. I guess. I mean, like, I can see why people not liking it. I think it's like, it's a cosmetic. Like, okay, we get it. You don't like it. But, you know, I appreciate the fact that, if you play, here you go.
It's a big ass monster horn that's strapped to the horse's behind.
You know, it's strapped to the side of the horse. Like, it's a cosmetic. You know, they gave it to you for free, and I'm not gonna complain when I get that for free. And it's nice to be rewarded for doing the open betas and things like that.
Yeah.
So
also to mention, this beta is a lot shorter than the other ones. If you look where it says May 12th, 12 p.m., I assume that's all Pacific time because Blizzard is on Pacific time.
Yep, it is.
12 p.m. Pacific time, May 12th to May 14th, 12 p.m. Pacific time. The previous betas went from, I think, 9 a.m. Pacific time on Friday until like 12 p.m. on Monday.
Right. So
this is like a Friday whole day less.
Yeah. It's Friday afternoon.
So this is 48. This is 48 hours, and then that's it.
Like, yeah. So you gotta definitely level 20 is doable given all the information we know, like how to power level. It's just, you know, yeah, definitely a shorter period though.
And they said a Shava is gonna spawn starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and then every 3 hours.
3 hours.
After that. So you've got a bunch of chances to kill it, but you know, you're gonna have to level up quite quickly and get in there. Like,
yeah, you have to power level.
I mean, yeah, the main purpose of this beta and the reason for it is it's in the title. It's a server slam. They want to really get people in there and really stress test their servers for launch. And they did say, you know, they want people to check out the changes that they made from the beta and see what they think. But
I do. I definitely do.
And I do too. I want to see if they made any changes to, I mean, they said I want to see if they made any changes to the skill tree. I was like, did they? I don't think they will have changed anything drastically, like changed a node entirely, but like I just want to see, like, yeah, I think I'm most interested in the balance changes. I guess the dungeons as well. But
I am interested in the dungeons too.
I'm interested in the dungeons, but I'm most interested in the balance changes because I don't know, the dungeon thing, like, I saw what people were saying. It didn't bother me like that much. I didn't mind the dungeons that much. They could have been better, but balance, as we talked about at length before, was my biggest problem with the beta. I was like, the class balance was abysmal in the beta. It was so bad.
I do want to see all the smaller things in action too that we didn't talk about. The sellers. The sellers being a thing is great. Now I do want to go into sellers. Yeah. I think just in general, that kind of stuff too is what I want to check out. And another opportunity to play the game. Can't say no to that. So
yep. Though the timing is also not good, but obviously the game's coming out in, you know, a little more than a month. So
right. I mean, yeah.
And I think, like, if they would have done it the weekend after that, that leaves them only what, like 2 weeks before the game came out. It's probably not quite enough time. So
Yeah.
I get why they did it, but like doing this on the same weekend that Zelda comes out is, ugh, it's not good. It's not good.
They're expecting people to play this. Remember, Blizzard expects you to play one game and only one game. Their
Yeah, I
game.
know.
Blizzard expects you to play only their game.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, "Oh, do you want to play other games?" Yeah. No, you don't. What do you
No,
mean?
you don't.
You're not going to finish that battle pass. Why not? You got to play our game like 5 hours a day. It's like, can I not? No. Okay, you don't finish battle pass. No. I hope. I hope it's not like that for this game. I hope they don't expect people to play this like 8 hours a day, where they're like, "Oh, are you not playing this
They
8 hours a day?"
they said they've said that it will take roughly 80 hours to finish the battle pass, but that's over 3 months. So that's like an hour a day
Yeah,
on
that's not bad.
average.
That's not bad at all, actually. That's not
And
bad at all.
when the season starts, you're gonna play a lot more than that.
Oh
I'm
yeah, of
sure.
course, of course. You're gonna hit a point where you might not want to play every day, all the
Yeah.
time, but like, but to start, you'll be playing it like quite a bit
Yeah.
right away.
And I think getting a character to 100 will be pretty significant. I think they said at one point it's gonna take like 150 hours to get a character to 100.
Oh my.
Like it's not an insignificant like grind. I think the levels early on were pretty fast, but I think especially once you get past 50 and get into a world tier 3 and the yeah, that it's gonna slow down pretty significantly.
Absolutely.
Um
150 hours is a long time though. It's a long
yeah,
time. That
but
is
you know,
that is 2 battle passes right there.
ARPGs are pretty much designed to be grindy, so
Yeah, super grindy.
and take time. So
150 is yeah. I mean, 150
I
is
mean
a
that
long
I mean
time.
that is 100% true, but like it's not like you're going to be unable to experience a lot of the game, or most of the game. You don't have to get to level 100, right? Like
You can just finish the story, I guess, and like go from there, and like just go to like level 50, 60, whatever.
yeah.
But anyway, I don't have anything else to share with Diablo. I'm still excited.
Oh,
I'm glad they're doing a server slam. That'll be fun. I'll hopefully be able to get to level 20 and get the horse with a dick on its leg.
hmm.
Um, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Anything
me
else?
too.
Okay.
Looks good. I will, again, I mentioned the timing isn't really good, especially again for me playing Trails, Age of Wonders, Xenoblade DLC, Advance Wars, Zelda, but I'm probably hell at this point I'm probably holding off on Zelda until like at least until I'm done with the Xenoblade, like Azure, and then the Xenoblade DLC, and then maybe I'll play Zelda.
Maybe you'll play
Like,
Zelda. Okay. Okay. Well, that's all we had for news for today.